Now then, people, and welcome back to the Just Joe Football Show, and happy Monday to you all. And it's time for something new, something that I've had in the mind for quite some time, and I thought, you know what, just do it. It is what it is. If people don't watch it, they don't watch it. It's time for the Premier Report, where we'll be taking a light-hearted look at the weekend's Premier League games. And of course, I thought, what better place to start when Manchester United, Bruno Fernandes's Manchester United, were humbled, humiliated at home against noisy neighbours Manchester City as they were spanked 3-0. So I thought, do you know what? This is the perfect time for a Leeds United fan to start this, the Premier Report. Please do smash a like on the video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Share it if you can. Subscribe to the channel, get your comments in, and of course hit that notification bell. And without further ado, let's get into it.
I don't
Kane, it's 1-0. We're fucking down. 13th in the Championship. The takeover happened as I said it would. People will be... Oh, when have we got Leeds? Well, folks, there's only one place, of course, we can start. It's, of course, at Old Trafford for the Manchester derby, where Manchester United were humbled. Ten Haag is out of ideas. I made a light-hearted jibe the other week when Brentford took on Man United and said that Brentford would win the game. I know they didn't in the end, but at that time I said Thomas Frank is a better manager than Ten Haag. And I say with chest, that still stands. This guy is a ball dolly. He is an absolute fraud. I don't know what he does. His team selection was absolutely wild. I got a text off my friend and they said, have you seen that back line? Which consisted of, by the way, Diego Dalot at right back, left back Lindelof, when you've just bought Reguilon and he's on the bench, okay, and a centre-back partnership, right, hear this, of Johnny Evans and Harry Maguire. That is the same centre-back partnership that Claude Puel's Leicester started with back in 2018, 5 years ago, and they're now starting for Manchester United in the Premier League against their bitter rivals, Manchester City. It is laughable at this point. He was asked why no Varane. He said it was a tactical decision. I genuinely feel this guy has lost his marbles. He's spent a hell of a lot of money, some that have come in and left. You've had the likes of Sabitzer, you've had the likes of Weghorst, of course, that have just been absolute failures. What's Tyrell Malacia doing? Nobody knows. You've now got Varane, who something dodgy's gone off there. He's absolutely bullying the life out of Sancho, who's been left to, I don't know, eat in the car park at this stage. He's spent X amount on Mason Mount, can't get in the side. Wild. And he's also bought Anthony, who is the £90 million fidget spinner, who, I mean, he can't get a game either. And what does he do? He comes on the pitch and absolutely tries to side down Jeremy Doku. Doku was laughing at both him and, of course, Bruno Fernandes. Bruno Fernandes at that point had lost his head and was running around like a madman. This is the captain of Manchester United. And I've said on a number of occasions now, right, they are going to leave themselves in another situation like they did with Harry Maguire, where it's going to get to the point where they go, we're going to have to remove him from the captaincy. And the whole narrative and whole rhetoric will be, he needs to be removed from the captaincy. And it'll rumble on. Ultimately, Ten Hag's on a one-way street to getting sacked. I think they'll get knocked out of the Champions League, and that's when Manchester United and the Glazers will push the button. As a Leeds United fan, and every other fans, they're enjoying it. Keep him in, Ten Hag in. But there's method to my madness. I actually want him to go because they might go and get Kieran McKenna at Ipswich. I mean, they probably won't. They'll want a flashy name. But they can't do no worse than Thomas Frank. I genuinely believe that fact. But listen, let's talk about City. City were phenomenal. Bernardo Silva was amazing. Jack Grealish was almost back to his best. I love how he's managed Jack Grealish. He's probably had a mad summer and he's gone, do you know what? I need to see if you're still hungry. Kept him out of the side for a bit. Comes in, Manchester derby, lights it up. Erling Haaland doing Erling Haaland things. He could have had a lot more if it weren't for Onana. Listen, I'm not Onana's biggest fan. I think he's pretty woeful. But he showed us yesterday some of the saves he can make when he's on it. Some of them were unbelievable. There was a moment where him and Edison had both made amazing saves in the space of about 5 minutes. Listen, as a non-Manchester United fan, it was a great watch. I can't lie to you. Man United are in the mud and I don't know where they go from here. They're not getting Champions League. And there's even 5 spots, I think, available this year. They're not getting it. They might get Conference League, maybe, and give them something to shout about. But yeah, it's not looking good. Manchester City showing the rest of the division, especially those up the top, the likes of Liverpool, Arsenal and Tottenham, that are a long way to go yet, and they will be there. We know they will. They will be there by the end of the season. So let's wait for the running. Let's wait till after January to see where City are poised and ready to pounce. Probably prefer being the Sharks than, you know, the hunters instead of the hunted. It's going to be an exciting Premier League season, to be honest, and I, for one, am happy about this fact. Which moves us on nicely to Friday night's game and Tottenham Hotspur. Tottenham Hotspur can do no wrong. Ange Postecoglou can do no wrong right now. What a acquisition he was, and to think that the people at the top of the club, he was seen as a last resort. This is where I come back to that Man United chat as well, that, you know, you can't do no worse than someone like Thomas Frank, because you have all these lofty opinions of who you should have at your football club. And we've seen with Tottenham, the blueprint's there to giving someone a chance, because that's what it is. That's what it is. They gave him a chance, and what a turnaround it's been for Spurs. James Maddison is arguably the most informed player in the Premier League. Son being moved into the striker position over Richarlison's, you know, coming up trumps for them as well. My only concern with Spurs is if they get a few injuries. But what I will say, they are flying at the moment and they can do no wrong. Just on Son as well, I made the stupid last-minute decision to take him out of my fantasy team and put in Saka, and that did not come off. Saka got 1 assist. They played Sheffield United, spanked them 5-0, and he got 1 assist. Every time a goal went in, I was checking. I was like, come on, it's Saka time. It was not. It was not. Eddie Nketiah, who of course Leeds United fans are well aware of, got a hat-trick, first Premier League hat-trick for Arsenal. Arsenal fans aren't a fan of his. I understand it. They want a killer up top. When Jesus is out, they're probably sick to the back teeth of having to go to Eddie. I do think it's a bit wild that he's on 100k a week, the same as Reece Nelson, etc. But listen, he came up trumps. But this Sheffield United side, by the way, are piss poor. You know, we hear it every time. Oh, they might break Derby's record when newly promoted sides come up. But I genuinely believe this Sheffield United side might do that. I wonder if Gus Harmer is now regretting the move. Chris Wilder apparently is poised, ready to pounce. So will that give them you know, a boost of life, if you like, if indeed they are to get rid of Paul Heckingbottom. But what can Paul Heckingbottom do? Hecky, Leeds fans know he is. He was at our football club. What really can he do when before the season you're selling his 2 best players? And Dai went to France and Sander Berg went to Burnley. And by the way, Burnley and Vincent Kompany. Remember I told folks, there were people out there that wanted Kompany over Ange Postecoglou at Spurs. There was talk of him being future Man City manager, not forgetting that he'd actually spent some time in Anderlecht and didn't pull up any trees. I just think sometimes Premier League fans in general, especially top 6, live in this bubble and are not aware everything else goes on outside of that. You've only to look at people's reaction to Rice now at Arsenal. It's like he'd never existed before. People who watch football, or maybe fans more so of the lower teams in the Premier League, will wax lyrical on this guy week after week, and then all of a sudden he's gone to Arsenal and in a couple of months, he's learnt so much. No, he was doing this. Do you know what I mean? He was doing this. So yeah, the Burnley thing, is he going to change his principles? He ought to, because, you know, if they continue in this vein, they're getting relegated. And I myself even said, you know, when the season started, Luton, Sheffield United done. Out of the 3 that have come up, the one that looks the most promising is, of course, Luton. Do I think they'll stay up? Remains to be seen. Obviously, Everton, shock result, really, down at London Stadium. They are mooted to be getting a minus 12 points deduction. That was minus 5 before the weekend. It'll now be minus 2. So any Sheffield United fans are out, and even Leeds fans that might look at Everton and think, yeah, we want them to go down. They tried to get none, so it's about time they got down. If they get 12, which they won't, they'll probably get less. That's what's been recommended. They'll end up with 6 or 9. You know how it is. You know how it goes. But even if they get the maximum that's been requested of 12, they're now on minus 2. 1 win away from being back in the positive. So any team down the lower end of the table that thinks this is going to change the course of the season, it won't. It won't. And the Premier League and the powers that be probably know that fact as well. They don't want a points deduction to be the reason for once great club Everton to be relegated. Let's be real. But Man City need to watch out, by the way, because if they're found guilty, I mean, what kind of points deduction are they getting? Because they've got like 115 charges against them. So don't go anywhere. More VAR controversy in the Newcastle Wolves game. Penalty given for a non-existent challenge by Hwang Hee-chan. Otherwise, Wolves win that game. Hwang Hee-chan, by the way, has had a fantastic start to the season for Wolves. Maybe this was the player that once played alongside Haaland and Minamino at Red Bull Salzburg, of course, with our man Jesse Marsch. This was the player that everyone thought he was, right? So it's good to see Wolves doing well. You know me, I'm a bit of an emotional guy. And when I see the way that Gary O'Neill was treated at Bournemouth, and then I see the job that he's doing at Wolves, because before the season started, I tipped them to be down there, and he's done fantastically well with them. You know, they schooled Man United, and it was at that point when I was watching and thinking, actually, these aren't a bad side. If Mateus Cunha could finish his dinner, they'd be a lot better than what they were doing. We'd now see Hwang Hee-chan step up to the fore. Of course, Pedro Neto's been unbelievable. He picked up a knock, so there's worries about that. He needs to make sure he's going to be fine. But with Lamina in there, Gary O'Neill, I'm happy for him, and I'm glad he's doing well. And obviously, Bournemouth before the weekend hadn't had a win in the Premier League. However, that changed at the weekend. Bournemouth actually picked up 3 points. Yes, they got a win against Burnley. Great goal by Philip Billing. Listen, my opinion changed on Bournemouth because when the season started, I was like, I'm excited to see them. Not least, of course, because they have players that Leeds United were linked with. They got the manager that Leeds United were linked with. They tried to get Bielsa. It's like they were building the club in our image. And they started the season like they were following that blueprint, just like we followed the Leicester model into the Championship. However, maybe Iraola now could have easily got sacked before this gets a stay of execution. But what he needs to then do is follow this up because Burnley are not the one. Yes, you beat Burnley 2-1. And that's a poor result for Vincent Kompany, as I've said before. And I wonder at what stage the media will really start to call out Vincent Kompany, because you know with certain individuals they will not. Why? Because Vincent Kompany is well respected within the game and he's got friends within the media. I hear it all, but let's have some parity here. He has had a terrible start to the season. If anything, he's probably going under the radar because of how poor Sheffield United have done, and there's still chat of Luton, or Luton are definitely going down. But as I've said before, they look the most apt at actually picking up points at the minute. And of course, we had the sheer mention of that man's name, the Messiah, the man behind me, of course, Marcelo Bielsa. And what a job he is doing with Darwin Nunez as well. Since he spent time in the Uruguay camps, he's just a totally different player for Liverpool. Scored again at the weekend. He's getting assists. His numbers over the last few weeks have been really, really good. And this isn't Klopp. It is my man, Marcelo Bielsa, who has worked his magic on Darwin Nunez. He took a lot of flack for not taking, Cavani, not picking Suarez, but he sees talent in Nunez and has obviously got stuck into him. Let's not forget, this is a manager that got Patrick Bamford an England call-up and got him to score 17 goals in the Premier League. Now look what he's doing, Darwin Nunez. Liverpool, of course, won the game, running out 3-0 winners at home to Nottingham Forest with goals from Darwizzy. Of course, that's his name now. He's my boy, Bielsa. We both love the man. Diego Jota, and of course, alongside Maddison, arguably the most informed Premier League player this season in terms of numbers anyway. His assists are unreal, and now he's scoring goals as well, is of course the magician Mohamed Salah. Brentford brought Chelsea back down to earth as well. There was chat of a Chelsea revival. I was on Never a Foul, More Gender. Make sure you check them out. Great Premier League content, by the way. And there was chat of Chelsea maybe having a resurgence. Could they get top 5? And I said, Nana. And obviously Thomas Frank, who, by the way, as a Leeds fan, it's hard for me to say, I really, really respect and I really, really rate. Tactically, I think he's great. Okay, sometimes the football might not be amazing, but he goes out to ensure that his team get points. This is a team that have gone there. Do you know goal scorer Ethan Pinnock has actually played in more wins at Stamford Bridge than £110 million man Enzo Fernandez? It's hilarious, I can't lie. So they had this little small revival. They get a great point against a great Arsenal side and then lose to Brentford. Bang back down to earth. And I love it. And just to finish up, folks, Brighton drew 1-1 with Fulham at home, and Aston Villa, of course, beat Luton. Us FPL managers, of course, wounded that Ollie Watkins didn't get on the score sheet in the 3-1 win against Luton. But I just want to say, Aston Villa, great club. Huge fan base. Of course, we had our rivalry when in the Championship, but I respect Aston Villa as a football club and their fans. And Unai Emery's gone in there and he's done a fantastic job. I mean, at home, they're absolutely phenomenal. They haven't lost at home this season. They've scored 20 goals in the process. He's made Ollie Watkins into a bit of a killer. If you look at the difference to Ollie Watkins pre-Emery to post-Emery, it's like chalk and cheese. And if that second striker spot ever is a thing at England, because Kane's always going to play, he's the man. And when you consider, we as Leeds fans were umming and ahhing whether it was going to be him or Bamford that went, and look at the career trajectory since. Do you know what I mean? It just shows you the hunger of the lad. This guy was playing something like Western-super-Mare, I think, when he was picked up by Brentford, by Dean Smith. Dean Smith did an okay job with him, but Unai Emery's just took him to the next level. I laugh when I see Douglas Luiz as well, because there was once upon a time that Aston Villa wanted Calvin because they weren't overly enamoured with Douglas Luiz when they were promoted, if you remember. And, I mean, look at him now. He can't stop scoring goals, and for a player that plays in his position, it's great to see. I actually like Aston Villa, and I hope they get Europe. For me, it's amazing to see the likes of Brighton, to see the likes of Villa, Newcastle, etc., sports washing aside, doing well, because what it means is the likes of Chelsea and Man United, we could be talking bottom half. Let's see it. And I think that's a great way to end this weekend wrap on the Premier Show. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Please smash a like on the video. Get your comments in, hit the notification bell. Push it as much as you can. Help with the algorithms, because as I say, it's going to be a new show moving forward every Monday. So make sure you don't miss it. So ensure that notifications are on, and I'll see you in a bit. Peace out. You just Leeds.